quite crazy at the moment.
I was listening to Dope Lemon on the way over here.
They have a new single out.
Oh, really?
I downloaded it to my phone.
What you doing over there? Such a great song.
Thanks for turning them on to me.
Yeah.
And I need to listen to more of that. He does stuff with his sister, right?
Yeah, that's it's Angus. I always want to say Angus Young because
They're from Australia.
It's Angus and Julia Stone.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very different though. It's almost like folky. Like I don't want to say it, but a lot of their stuff I'm not super into, which is fine. But yeah, it's almost like because I think they did that first, and I think they're actually pretty well known, at least in Australia. And then I think the Dope Lemon project was, I wouldn't be surprised if he was just like, I'm going to make all these drug songs. And it's almost like what
Is that what he's really talking about?
I got cocaine. Oh, what is it? I got a cocaine flame in my brain. You know?
So I noticed they have a single that released and I downloaded it. It's called Every Day is a Holiday. Check out that artwork right in the center.
Oh, man, I hope it's going to be an album.
Yeah, it's a single from a new album.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I'm really excited, but I haven't heard it yet. There's two people on the cover. It's a duo, right?
I mean, it's a band.
Okay.
But it's his, I don't know. I think it's like kind of like a side project, but it's a band also. You know how.
That's dope.
That's dope
pretty
lemon.
dope.
Yeah. Squeeze that dope lemon into my brain. That's what he says in one of the. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of great bands out of Australia. You know, we got modern, like we got Tame Impala.
Do you know the guy's name from Tame Impala? I was actually just thinking about that on the way over here. Kevin Parker. Right?
I don't know his last name. I know it's Kevin.
I think it's Parker. I was listening to an interview with him, and he was talking about like that evil doubt. That's what because he was talking about like his process of making music and stuff, and he's like, yeah, you know, and then there's always that evil doubt. You know, you start doubting yourself and everything. He's like, you got to get that out of your head.
I agree.
You can't let yourself doubt your art.
I agree. Have you heard of a musician that goes by the name East Forest?
You might have showed that to me. It sounds really familiar, but I can't put a finger on it.
He's an experimental.
Oh, the guy, yeah.
He did the Ram Dass. He got most famous recently for releasing a Ram Dass ambient mix right before he died. And
he was on Duncan Trussell's podcast, right?
He may have been on Duncan. He's been on Astral Hustle with Corey Allen.
Or maybe that's what it was. Yeah,
he's
did like
around.
the whole thing.
He's in that circle.
He took like an old Ram Dass speech.
Yep, and he's working on one with Alan Watts' kids right now. He's taking an Alan Watts lecture and putting some ambient stuff to it.
That's cool.
But I listened to it yesterday. He had a podcast with the string player from Arcade Fire.
Oh, cool.
And they got into that exact...
The girl, right?
The girl,
okay.
yeah. And they got into that very topic of there's a fine line where you let the music try to happen organically, or like you try to just let it flow out of you instead of you like having control. Like there's a fine line, like you can overdo it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually a really good time. I wanted to bring up my clip.
Okay.
I was listening to a bunch of random music recently, and on my car drives, like I've dug deep into Frank Zappa.
Nice.
And so this is kind of a great one. Very random. Off his Joe's Garage album from 1979, there's a song called Packard Goose. And what I'll do is I'll play it for you here, and then I'll splice it in later, like clean. So it's pretty nice. But it's an 11-minute song, and then like randomly, like 2 minutes in, there's this girl comes in, and she talks for like 20 seconds. And that's the clip I'm going to play for you right now.
Okay.
Hi, it's me, the girl from the bus. Remember the last tour? Well, information is not knowledge. Knowledge is not wisdom. Wisdom is not truth. Truth is not beauty. Beauty is not love.
is that the Frank Zappa you're talking about, or is that the Alan Watts thing?
No, this is a gem deep in the middle of Packard Goose from.
So that's a Zappa song.
Zappa.
But is that a cover, or that's the actual song?
No, this is pure Zappa.
Wow.
Joe's Garage. But randomly, this girl. Music is the best. It's better than love. It's better. Cool. Like, I love that. And when I heard of that one, it was like, what? And then after that, there's random lyrics, and then like another 10 minutes of instrumental. So like, what?
Have you heard the Zappa song? I think it's Bobby Brown. It's like the best.
But the lyrics on this, I just wanted to recount them real quick. She starts out, it's like, "Hi, it's me, the girl from the bus. Remember the last tour? Well, information is not knowledge. Knowledge is not wisdom. Wisdom is not truth. Truth is not beauty. Beauty is not love. Love is not music. Music is the best." So,
music is the best.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, the story behind that. Was that like a one night stand that he had, and she like sent him some crazy letter?
Not sure, man. Like, the name of this Zappa's, I can't even put my finger on it, because he's apparently just a coffee and cigarettes guy. He's sober, not even into weed, nada.
Yeah. Right.
But his history, the way he grew up, he has some really, really cool ideas, and he's a really smart guy.
I like how, I think we've talked about this, and maybe you told me this, how he would have just a time clock in his studio, and he would bring in all the studio musicians, and it was just like, oh really?
No.
It was just like you would go to work, and you would clock in at the door of the studio, and you would go and do your tracks, and then you would clock out, and there was no fucking around. There was no fuckery.
Yeah.
Apparently he was like strict. It was like going to work. And I almost kind of like that idea of just like making it work, you know, turning it into, but like you're saying, it's like a fine line though, right? Like, cause I feel like this last project that I tried to do, you know, I almost thought it was kind of a relief at first because the guy had all the songs written already. And then when we tried to, you know, really do it when we got the rehearsal studio and everything, I just, he was almost too strict about it, you know?
Weren't feeling it.
But on the other hand, you know, I've had bands before, like with Wes and stuff, where it was like all improvising, and we would have good moments. But then we played for 3 years, and we never even really had a complete song that we played twice. Well, so yeah, it's a real fine line. Like, I've had this conversation a lot. Like, where is the you know, middle ground? Like, what's the sweet spot?
Well, you may have determined too that you don't like to be told what to do, too. Like, being a studio musician, too, you come in there and you play other people's vibe.
Yeah, but I think it's also a skill, too, like being able to say, oh, okay, this is what you want me to do, and then being versatile enough to
you got to have it in your toolbox, yeah.
I think I'm more maybe raw talent where I got to feel it to really play it. Like, if it's not something kind of in my wheelhouse or whatever, then, you know, sometimes it takes a while. Like, usually I'll get it eventually. But if it's not, like if it's a song that I wrote, like usually I would have played that song, you know, hundreds of times before I even brought it to anybody to show it to you.
Yeah.
You know, but when it's somebody else's song, it's just kind of a drag to just play the same 3 chords that they want you to play.
I hear you. I've diagnosed myself with being kind of a ephemeral musician. Like I better have that recorder going, because like this is like that one thing that comes out of me. Like, I may not ever remember it again, especially when I play with so many weird effects. Like, I won't have the knobs in the right spot.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, especially with delays and reverbs, like where you're like, good luck. Like, that was the once.
I know that's the worst too. Like, I've found recordings that I did on my iPhone, and then it's like, how did I play that? And then I would just sit there and eventually give up. Like, it's almost like somebody else played it, and then I just stumbled on it, and I'm trying to like learn it for the first time. It's like, really, I had no recollection of it. I mean, I'm probably on drugs or something when I recorded it, so you know that helps.
But if you think about it, like, it came out of your meat, your fingers, your brain, your same guitar, same equipment.
We talked about this before, remember? Because I came up with a song one time, and I was like, yeah, but I just got to get that feeling, like we got to tap into that thing. And you're like, remember you were like that. It's not you because you were on drugs. I'm like, it is me. It's down there somewhere. I got to learn to like access it.
Excavate it.
I love that. I don't know if I think we talked about this before. The, what's the Flaming Lips podcast? Steven did. It's the Sorcerer's
Apprentice or something.
I think it's the Sorcerer's Orphan. I could be wrong, but
there's a sorcerer in it where they break down the soft bulletin songs.
Yeah. And Wayne actually has some really good points sometimes. And one time, I still think about this all the time. He was like, writing songs, it's almost like apps on your phone. And he said you have to learn, because he said it's two completely different parts of your brain, from like writing the song, the creative part of your brain, but then taking those pieces and just molding it down. You remember like a katana, they hammer that shit like a katana. That's a completely different part of your brain.
Steel.
Yeah. And he was saying it's like apps on your phone. You have to learn how to like open an app and then close that app and then open another app. And I always think about that. That was a really interesting point.
He had another good point early on too, and it led me to branch out and try to sing, because he was like, I'm not a good singer. We just make it work, and you can do a lot with reverb and those effects.
Yeah.
I saw a great Instagram post from Wayne yesterday, and it was his son playing piano with Steven.
Wait, whose son?
Wayne. He has a baby boy.
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot. Yeah.
And Steven was playing piano with them. Like Steven was playing, the kid was like, you're like, this kid is going to be on to things here. Mm-hmm. And he was like, he would hit with his fingers and then he would punch it.
Yeah.
And then Steven would like, whatever note he played, Steven would come in with a harmonious chords. And the kid was like, oh, and he was getting it. The kid got it.
Right. Well, I mean, even though, Wayne may not have, that was another one on another podcast from them, and Steven was saying, like, Wayne's voice sometimes is a little, what was the word he said, kind of rough or something like that, and then he made a point, he's like, but, what was it? He was like, but sometimes you listen to it, and it just feels like America, or some cool phrase like that. And I was like, wow. And then it's funny because I always think about singers like that. Like even like Jimi Hendrix hated his voice. He didn't want to be a singer. He was almost forced to be a singer. Bob Dylan, terrible singer. There's so many people who I love that were just not great singers.
Well, great in the pop sense, but they all were so unique that you just... Like these are new avenues and new approaches. I bring it on, but
because if you were like some classically trained singer and then you just sounded like everybody else, that wouldn't be any fun. It's almost like it's a double-edged sword, because I hate hearing myself, because it's such a distinct. Everybody has such a distinct thing. Like my friend last night was playing this kind of like, I think it was RJD2 or the Automator. I don't know if you know who that is, but
Dan the Automator.
Yeah, and then he had like a bunch of like guest people, and what was it? The guy from not POD, but one of those bands. The guy that died, Linkin Park.
Oh, not Chester or
something like that, right? It doesn't matter.
Well,
but, I mean, like right away, I was just like, oh, that's the. And I don't even listen to Linkin Park, but it's just like. It's funny, like, because even if you play an instrument, I mean, you could hear people playing guitar, and it's like, oh, that's so-and-so, just by their style, but it's so distinct, like somebody's voice, and it's like, well, nobody else is ever going to sound like that, You
may as well work with what you got. That's what I'm thinking.
Exactly, but it's
and you got to get over that.
It's something unique to, like, maybe the world needs that one thing, because if there's nothing else like it, then, why not?
Yeah, and if you're being critical of your own voice,
I think everybody is, though.
Well, I'm just saying if you're being critical of yourself to not want to do it anymore, that's the wrong path. You got to get over that ego, and you kind of got to fight through it and just get to a place where you're happy. Well,
that's an important point, because the ego is kind of tricky. the ego can make you think that it's like the opposite. That you have a big ego. The ego can make you think that by wanting to sing, that's you having a big ego. But it really is the opposite. It's trying to keep you from singing.
Your ego is not your amigo. Oh, McKenna line.
Yeah, Terrence McKenna line. I wish I won't even attempt to do his voice. It's so great.
I just think of Kermit or Jordan Peterson of some way. Like
almost, yeah. I could kind of. Yeah, could you imagine if Terrence McKenna was like, I don't like my voice. We would never have a Terrence McKenna. There will never be another Terrence McKenna. I mean, he could only do that. Almost Alex Gray kind of has that voice a little bit, too.
Yeah, I used to wonder if it was like a thing with psychedelics.
We've talked about this. Yeah. Did we talk about this in the last podcast? Maybe. Oh, but it really does, because Terrence even talked about the growl, like almost like a purring in the back of their throat of like the ayahuasqueros.
Ooh.
Like how they all like sound the same. And you listen to like, these guys have done a lot of acid or whatever, drugs, obviously, like Alex Gray, and Terrence McKenna, and they almost have this like, he explained it like a purring in the back of your throat, which I don't know if that makes any sense, but when you hear it, it's very distinct. And I really wonder if there is something to that. Because if you listen to like recordings of just like the shaman dudes like talking, they do have like this certain way, like almost like a purring almost.
Well, that's a good point too, because I was listening to some Hamilton Morris recently too, and he has that vocal fry, like he kind of goes like that.
Yeah, he kind of does too.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he's ever done any drugs before.
Probably not.
No, definitely.
Just
I think
he just respects a lot of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's all
staged. He just knows the chemistry and nothing else.
Yeah, I think he's actually, somebody accused him of faking the 5-MeO DMT episode.
On Instagram last week, he did a story where he was taking out of a condom. He was taking like a big nitrous hit. Like he blasted the condom.
Is this a clip from a new episode maybe?
Not sure, but...
Because they're coming out with a new season.
Yeah, but he was taking a big nitrous... He did everything like he was taking a nitrous hit out of a big condom.
Hamilton Morris from Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia.
Hamilton Morris.
We should probably say, yeah.
Yeah. But then like he wrote on the last story, like, that was a wonderful xenon gas hit. Like
Xenon?
Yeah. It's a noble gas or some sort. But I looked that up and I'm like, it says you shouldn't... Maybe he was just saying like, like diffusing responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know who his dad was?
Yes.
Or is currently? Yeah.
Yeah, he did
Harold
that.
Morris.
Well, I knew his dad was like he did documentaries.
Yeah.
Like I've heard that before, probably from you. But it's funny, I actually saw one of his documentaries, I didn't even know it.
Thin Blue Line.
Yes, about Wormwood.
Well, that too, but
what's Thin Blue Line about?
About the police force.
Is that new or
older one?
I've never seen it.
But that's coming out, recently with all the police defunding and the protests. Because you haven't seen those stickers, like with the American flag with the blue line.
Yeah, I didn't even know what that meant until recently.
That's from Errol Morris's movie, A Thin Blue Line.
What does the red mean?
That's
Thin Red Line? I don't understand.
That was a Sean Penn war movie. I'm not sure what the meaning...
but I see now there's the one with the blue line, but then there's also one with the red line.
I haven't seen that yet.
I
Pretty soon it'll be rainbow, right? Like for just everyone. Why not, man? We all matter, right? It's America.
It's America. Yeah.
I can make stickers for whatever I want.
It seems like less people have stickers now on their cars unless, like, they're just very opinionated about something. But as far as just, like, stickers to look cool, it's almost like, my theory is that people don't want to stick out to the police.
I work at a sign shop, and I ride bareback. Like, I got nose. I've worked in signs for years, and I don't put shit on my truck.
Right, and you could easily print out a sticker.
Oh, I can make whatever I want, but it's classic. Like, I classically see like all the new employees, like they get there and like, oh, I can have stickers, and then they'll put a sticker on there, and then a month later it's gone. And then, like, I'll make a magnet for somebody, it goes up, and then it's gone because they get engaged by it, or somebody talks shit later and then they take it off. It's constant.
I always think of cool sticker ideas, and I'm like almost gonna text you like, hey, can you print out the sticker? And then I'm like, Nah. And then I never remember it, so it must not be that important.
Well, put it
I always
down.
think of something like for a stop sign, like stop thinking that you're separate or some. I always have these ideas when I'm stoned, but then I forget about them. So maybe
Well,
that's because they're not that good of ideas.
you have a supercomputer in your pocket now, and with a voice recorder.
What's that?
You know, your Apple, your $1 trillion iPhone in your pocket, your iPhone.
Oh, those.
It has a microphone.
I've heard of those.
Yeah, and you record
Okay.
music into it.
Uh-huh.
It also records your ideas.
Do you think the I is actually like short for spy?
In iPhone?
Spy phone? iPhone?
You remember the 90s where everything was I? Like,
Hey, remember the 90s?
yeah.
No, what did that? What is the I? I never understood that. Everything is I for Apple.
No, it's not.
iWatch,
Well,
iPhone,
now that's their brand now.
But what does it
originally,
mean?
originally it was Apple.
No, I know that.
But then there was Macintosh.
Yeah.
But during the whole 90s phase, like everything got branded I as like the internet. Like,
Oh, is that what I means?
well,
Internet?
it's ambiguous now. Nobody can really peg it. But they were the first, like, even the word podcast is an Apple term. Like,
Right.
the original term that I always was aware of was a netcast, an online radio.
Mm-hmm.
But Apple, when they released their iTunes, they did the podcast, and they called it a fragment of a cast.
I think that's one thing that Steve Jobs actually does deserve some credit for that he never really gets is that I heard he had an opportunity, like they wanted him or they were pressuring him to monetize podcasts. And he said no.
Well,
It should remain free.
I don't think they could have actually done that back then because there's a famous clip. What the fuck's that guy's name? He was actually the original podcaster.
That's exactly who.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
He's out of
that's
Texas.
exactly who I was thinking.
And
He was saying,
I listened to his podcast called No Agenda, and it's with John C. Dvorak. And goddamn, I'm pulling a blank. They call him the Podfather.
He's the original
Yeah.
podcaster, like way before
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
even a thing.
But he's currently still doing that. God, I still listen to him actually every once in a while.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but a lot of time, they actually wanted to do Wi-Fi differently back then too, and like he had a lot of really big ideas, and times change, but I don't like the name podcast personally. Like I've always had something against that, but
Yeah,
that's another
it's
story.
just kind of stuck, I guess. Well, because by saying podcast, it's almost like saying like something, iPhone,
I don't personally like giving credit to Apple for anything.
Well, that's what I mean. And that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
But has it been like, is that too like far gone? Like, can we change it now? Because is it just going to be radio one day? Like, who listens to the radio anymore? It's just, that is the new radio.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's podcasts.
Well, it's what we call the lexicon. Like in society, when things get said over and over and over again enough, they become the lingo. It's the now. And that's, yeah.
My brother-in-law was telling me in Oklahoma when I visited, he was saying this study, right? Have you heard of the 10 monkeys study or something
Is that
like
where
that?
they'll set them in a room and they'll type whatever they want?
Well, so I'm going to fuck this up. But he was saying, so they took like 10 monkeys and they put them in a room. And then there was, they couldn't, like, I guess if you pressed a button, you'd get food or something like that. But it also would shock you or something like that, right? You'd be punished for this thing. But it would be to get food, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I'm totally going to butcher this.
Okay.
So, and then what would they do? They would take a monkey out and then they would put in another monkey. And
That
then
had never been there?
they'd never been there. And then right away, they would all tell this monkey, like not to do it, right? So that monkey would
Well, it's
do
herd mentality, right? Yeah.
it. Basically, that's what it's proving. And then so they would keep doing this to where none of the original monkeys are in the room, but none of them will ever touch it. As long as they go. I should probably look this up. He could be just, I
Those
could just be
Okies,
repeating
yeah.
something. Did I tell you I met, the song Okie from Mustokie?
You what?
I
You
sat
met?
next to an Okie from Muskogee on the plane. And I didn't even know, like, I
Proud
never
to
put it
be
together.
An Okie
Yeah.
from Wisco. What's the second? Muskogee?
Muskogee. That's the actual place.
Muskogee. Oh, okay.
That's a town. It's a city in Oklahoma. I never put that together until I sat next to a dude in the plane. By the way, because we flew to Dallas, right? It was a good flight. But then from Dallas to Oklahoma, which it was only an hour, thank God. That was like the worst flight I've ever taken in my entire life.
In what way?
Well, first of all, the air conditioner didn't work.
Hot.
And they had everybody, and I thought it was going to be like social distancing on the plane, like where there was nobody in the center.
Packing.
Nope.
So you
They
had
screwed-
a full flight?
Packed. And they screwed up the seating too. Like all these people were all mixed up, so it was almost like musical chairs, right? And then this lady had a baby that was crying for an hour. The entire flight was crying. And then, it was just a crappy flight. But anyways,
Were you wearing a mask?
I had to wear a mask the entire time. Yeah, it was really hot.
Do you get any drinks?
No, they don't do that anymore. Well, so not on the hour-long flight, we didn't get anything. But on the, it's like 3 hours from here to Dallas, they give you a lunch bag with like a snack and a water bottle. That's all you get. Yeah. The days of getting that, well, first of all, getting any kind of alcohol on planes is over. And then like getting served a really crappy meal is over too.
I'll take
Too
some
bad.
peanuts.
Yeah, I'll take the peanuts too. I was fine with it, but yeah,
Wow. Really cutting corners. Yeah.
Oh, and did I tell you about what happened on the way back when we landed here in San Diego?
I've not heard this. No.
So from, you could tell there was a lot of military people coming from Texas back here. They're probably visiting home or whatever. And there's these people sitting kind of across from us, right? And I still don't know what happened, but when we landed, there was like this screaming, like bloody murder screaming. And it sounded like it was coming from down outside the plane, And I don't know if it was somebody that was on the plane. Maybe they refused to wear a mask or something like that. I have no idea. But we landed, and then we just heard like screaming. And this girl, you could tell, well, I'm guessing she was military, right? Well, she said she was. But at the time, I didn't know. She started like crying. Like, have you ever heard somebody just like, these are real, like she was mentally fucked up. She had some like PTSD. Like, and she covered her ears. And it was kind of traumatizing witnessing this.
Or she was having like a night terror of some sort.
No, it was because she explained after.
Oh.
She covered her ears. She's like, oh no, not again. Not again. And, my daughter's like, what is going on? And I'm trying to
So she had like
her.
like you said, PTSD from some war thing. And then
so
she got
I think
triggered?
she realized, it triggered her.
Yeah.
And I think she realized that it wasn't what she thought it was. And then she mentioned something like, have you ever seen somebody get, I don't know if she said crushed or ran over on the tarmac? I don't even really know what a tarmac means exactly. Is that like
That's the runway area. That's what they call where the airplanes.
She must have witnessed some really bad shit on the tarmac somewhere. But seriously, like you could tell, like there was some deep, deep shit there. She's like, not again, not again. And I was just thinking like, to my daughter, like, this is why you never joined the military. But I still don't know what it was about. It was really, and then as we were walking out, they were like taking apart the seat in the front. Like, we were all the way in the back, and they were like disassembling the seat. I don't know what it was all about. It was just, I don't know. It was a good flight. Like all in all, everything was chill, but it just had this weird, because you could tell people, like some people had the full on face shields, and everybody had the face mask, and it was just a weird experience,
I would have expected, my buddy flew from Denver. No, he took the train, sorry. And he said it was just desolate. It was like the most peaceful, nobody experience that he's ever had.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
But no, it was packed. It was completely packed, yeah.
Well, cool. Oklahoma.
Oh, so anyways, yeah, but I don't know if I finished.
Muskogee.
I'm like, yeah, where are you from? He's on Muskogee. And I was like, oh, like in my head.
From that song.
Yeah. Oh, so was that you? The song was about you? Okie from Muskogee. Muskogee. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Muskogee.
I was saying with a W, like proud to be an Okie from I always thought it was a W. So
I didn't even know what Okie meant. I didn't realize that was in Oklahoma. Okie, Oklahoma. And then, so my sister said, oh yeah, that was a popular, well, apparently Route 66 went right through there. So it used to be like, one of like a rest stop.
And what town were you in?
When we landed?
Or where your sister lives?
She lives in, outside of Grove. It's J, I think. Or no. Well, they kind of live on the outskirts
of Grove, Oklahoma.
But it's funny because I don't know if somebody was on meth and they named all the cities out there or something.
What?
Like, there's literally a Tijuana.
Why not?
And then there's a Miami. And like, they just like almost copied everything else. They're like, yeah, Miami. But apparently they say
Miami.
They say it differently, yeah. But yeah, I saw like police cars that said Tijuana. I was like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Yeah. They're like, hey, why not? Tijuana. I guess there's a few others like that, yeah. Oh no, she lives in Xena. So I was wondering if Xena Warrior Princess was really big back then when they named it. Why not? Hey, the first disc golf player right there, Xena Warrior Princess.
What?
Did you ever watch that?
She was playing disc golf on the show?
Dude, she had a disc with a blade on it, yeah.
Okay.
I wonder if maybe we could bring that back, but she's like a disc golfer.
I didn't know that.
Make it a spinoff.
I didn't see much of that show. I'll watch it later.
You got any more podcast name ideas? I feel like I wish we could upload some of these like sooner.
I was going to tell you
what they think.
I don't know if I was actually wanted to bring that up to you because I did look at. There's 2 free services that I'll talk to you off about it, but I think one's called like Pineberry or Pine Tree.
What's that?
Or Podbean. They're sites that give you, you basically give you your own webpage for your podcast, and then they syndicate them to all the other series, like Apple iTunes, Stitcher. It's a syndication. Like you gotta, instead of you uploading them to all these different sites, you upload them to one site. You can give people a URL, right? But it also it's remember RSS
feed.
Yeah. Really simple syndication. Like that's pretty much dead. Like is
that what it stands for? RSS feed.
Really simple syndication. Yeah.
I thought that was still like the thing. That's what it has to. Has to be an RSS feed.
It's kind of dying off, but.
I'm still not a techie. I don't understand any of this.
I can't keep up, but I was using it back in the day.
Yeah, but you know more of it than like I wouldn't be able to do it to save my life. Like,
but that's what these sites come into play. Like one I looked up was called Podbean.
Okay.
But what's cool about it is they like give you like a web, like you have a place for somebody to go and listen to all your episodes, and then you also get statistics, like you can see where people are coming from.
Yeah.
And then they also syndicate it to all these other platforms that people are
iTunes
using
and whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. And do you have to pay for the service or no?
Well, these have initially free, and I think they give you like 3 to 4 hours a month of audio for free.
Really?
And then, yep. And there's another one called Pinecast. I'm looking at, check those out yourself too.
Okay, you have to text it to me.
Podbean and Pinecast I went on Reddit, and that's the 2 I kind of liked.
Yeah.
They look really cool.
I am 100% up for paying a little bit of money for
we can grow in
like
what these offer is like a free, and then because here's the logistics, or here's the real truth of the matter, dude. Most podcasts die off 10. They don't even make it to 100 episodes.
Well, there's got to be so many millions of podcasts out there.
Yeah. So what I'm looking for is just some place to dump these and have fun with it. So, but naming, no. I told you today. Discourse, that just came to me in a text message because here we are at a disc golf course,
yeah,
and
but it's just a random meetup place. Like I still want to try to check out that studio, or we could do it in my garage. Like there's different.
I would like changes of scenery. I do like that a lot.
Yeah, but this is nice because we're outside, and the audio wasn't bad on the last one. hopefully we'll see how this one turns out, but I think it's going to sound pretty good since we have the SM58s. SM58s.
Chinese.
Are these are the Chinese knockoff ones?
Yeah, they're premium Chinese knockoff.
Well, I'm sure they just stole the intellectual property.
Yeah, they're screen printed. They look. I took, compared your SM57 to the one I got.
Yeah, it's like the same thing. Yeah. I remember one time, because I think I left it with you, and then I was looking at both of them. I couldn't tell the difference, yeah. And I think we even did a sound test between them, and I think the Chinese one had a little more high-end. It was a little more tinny, but that's about it. It wasn't a big difference. Not at all.
Yeah, but whatever. That's something we're going to grow into, but it was good to throw some today in chat. So
yeah, let's try to do another one next week, and then we'll try to get a guest on. And then hopefully I want to try it, if we keep getting more, listeners and stuff, my idea is I want to try to lean towards music and psychedelic podcasts. And that's why I really like the name psychedelic music snob.
I'm not calling myself a snob at all. I don't like.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That was sorry. Psychedelic music nerd. I'm comfortable calling myself a nerd. And then it could be the SMP. Remember Smoke More Pot, SMP podcast? Anyways. It's just a thought.
No, you were doing PMS.
Well, that's why I was like, oh no, we can't do PMS. That was the psychedelic music snob would have been PMS. Yeah. That's why I understand that got shut down. But I think I've
always been the fan of being a little more ambiguous instead of direct.
Well, but I think direct is good because when you're browsing through, different podcasts, I think if it says exactly what sticks out to me is if it actually in the name says kind of what it's about. Ones that are kind of more ambiguous, I think normally I just kind of skip over because I think I'm less likely to read the description.
But I agree on that point. But everything we talked about last time and this time, there's only 2 minutes of music. Do you know what I mean? So we really narrow ourselves. I think we're broader than that.
Well, I don't want to I don't want to pin us down
peg it, to
anything, but not necessarily play music. I mean, I don't know copyrights and stuff like that. You brought up that point, but just talking about the shit that we normally talk about, drugs, music, and then, but what I was getting at, my idea for having guests and stuff like that, I would like to kind of lead toward towards musician friends and stuff like that. And then eventually my grand idea would be to try to get musicians that we like, even if it's over the phone or something even if we have to, pay him a little bit of money or whatever,
They ain't doing shit right now anyways.
That's the thing. And, the music that we like say Ty Segall and the Meat Bodies and John Dwyer and the OCs and these people, this is a DIY kind of attitude. So I don't think it would be such a big stretch if we had enough listeners that if we reached out my original idea was that go to a concert and we could bring the Zoom and be hey, can I just get a little bit of your time after the show? I'll even give you $100 or whatever. And then just do a quick interview. And then we could do an intro or something like that. And I don't think that's a big stretch, especially and especially for bands that are still playing at clubs and bars and stuff.
But the real thing is just going to be us, how we act on these things. So time will tell. Mm-hmm. And I honestly think the scope is a lot wider than what we think. I think it's
we don't have to pin ourselves down. Yeah.
The umbrella is going to be art.
Art,
and just
music,
experience
art,
and creation.
Yeah. Well, what does psychedelic mean? What's the definition?
Mind manifesting.
Exactly. Ooh, that'd be a good name.
There you go.
I kind of like that. Mind manifesting podcast. What would the acronym be? Americans love acronyms.
Well,
MMP.
What?
Americans love acronyms, dude. Especially the military. Everything's got to be a damn acronym.
I didn't know I liked acronyms.
Americans love acronyms. You didn't know? Well, now you do.
No, sir.
I speak the
So,
truth.
what do you say? Mind
Manifesting podcast.
Mind manifesting.
MP.
MP.
It's a pretty easy one. We'll talk about it. Oh, Carlos really likes my band idea, the Alan Dulles project.
Do you know
He
what?
texted me
Dude,
about that.
that name, I was randomly watching a YouTube video and they brought up that name again. I almost texted you. I was like, dude, I'm watching this right now. And yeah.
Well, that's because you're listening. They're listening to your every word. So
Bring it on, bitch. Give me some ideas.
Come on, supercomputer algorithm.
But yeah.
Why not?
Mind manifesting. Yeah. Let's work on that.
Probably taken, but let's find out.
Listen.
We'll find out.
We
This is only our second
overpower
one.
them. We overpower them with content and quality.
That's right.
That's what you do.
Yeah, I mean, we are meeting up in a park at a disc golf course. So how are you going to compete with that?
Come on. This is real.
Yeah, this is real. It's great. No, it's a nice day. Yeah, I think if we just keep doing it and just keep manifesting things, then
Goddard.
it'll come to us.
Yep. Cheers.
Cheers.